The blue-skinned alien stared at his control panel with 4 eyes wide open. His hands trembled as he rechecked the readings. The unknown ship had appeared from nowhere, breaking through the light barrier in a way that defied the laws of physics as he knew them. He had to report this immediately. Control Center, this is Border Post 17. We have detected an unknown vessel. It's not matching any known designs in our database, he reported, his voice shaking slightly. In the massive control center of the Galactic Council's Defense Force, dozens of operators turned their attention to the situation. The chief controller, a tall being with crystalline skin, stepped forward to take charge. The room's soft blue lighting reflected off his surface as he moved. "Send standard greeting protocols," he ordered, "and prepare defense systems, just in case." Aboard the Earth vessel Thunderchild, Commander Green stood calmly on the bridge, his weathered face showing no signs of concern. The ship's first venture beyond known space had gone exactly as planned. Their new drive system worked perfectly, though he knew the aliens would be confused by their method of faster-than-light travel. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It appears to be an automated greeting," reported his communications officer. The young man's fingers flew over his console, decoding the alien signals. Green nodded, straightening his simple black uniform. "Put it through universal translation and send our response. Remember, everyone, we're making history here." The crew worked with quiet efficiency. Each person knew their job, trained for this moment through countless simulations. The Thunderchild might look plain compared to most ships in Earth's fleet, but she carried humanity's most advanced technology, hidden beneath her simple exterior. In the Council's control center, alarms suddenly blared. The defensive AI had detected something it considered a threat. Energy readings that made no sense. The human ship's power signature pulsed in a way their systems had never seen before. "Emergency protocol activated," announced the crystalline controller. "Unknown vessel showing dangerous energy spikes. All units, prepare for defensive action." Before anyone could stop it, the automated defense systems activated. A ring of energy turrets emerged from hidden ports around the border station, their weapons charging with a high-pitched whine. On the Thunderchild, Green's expression remained calm even as warning lights flashed across his bridge. "Well, it seems they're not taking any chances. Defense systems to full power, but do not target weapons. Let's show them we can take a punch." The alien weapons fired, sending brilliant beams of energy toward the Thunderchild. The ship's crew watched with professional interest as their shield systems did exactly what they were designed to do. The energy weapons struck the shields and simply vanished. In the border post, the blue-skinned alien couldn't believe his eyes. "Sir, their ship. It's absorbing our weapons fire. No damage registered, no shield flare. It's like the energy is just disappearing." The crystalline controller's surface flickered with patterns of concern. This was unprecedented. Their weapons were among the most advanced in known space. They should have at least caused some visible effect on the unknown vessel. "Send the alert to Central Command," he ordered. "And somebody get me readings on that ship's composition." Commander Green allowed himself a small smile. The Thunderchild's adaptive shield technology was performing exactly as designed. Centuries of human warfare had taught them valuable lessons about defense. While other races focused on deflecting or blocking attacks, humans had learned to capture and redirect energy. "Sir," called out his science officer, "their scans are trying to analyze our hull. Should we maintain the stealth layering?" Green nodded. "Let them look. They'll only see what we want them to see." The Thunderchild's hull used a clever mix of materials that showed up as primitive metals to most scanning systems. The real technology lay beneath, hidden by layers of scientific innovations born from humanity's long history of hiding their true capabilities. The ship's AI spoke up with its usual calm voice. "Commander, they are attempting to establish a containment field. Shall I allow it to appear effective?" "Yes," Green replied. "Let them think they have us contained. Sometimes the best way to show strength is to let others think they have the advantage." He turned to his crew. Remember, everyone, we're not here to fight. We're here to make friends. But if they need a demonstration of why humanity might make a better friend than enemy, well, we can provide that too. The Galactic Council's response fleet arrived within hours, their ships emerging from hyperspace in a display of light and power. 12 warships, each one bigger than the Thunderchild, arranged themselves in attack formation. Their sleek hulls gleamed with purple and gold markings, showing off their advanced technology. Commander Green watched the alien fleet's arrival on his main screen. He counted the ships and noted their positions with the calm interest of someone watching clouds pass by. His crew remained steady at their stations, though a few of them smiled slightly. They'd brought quite a welcome party, Green said, adjusting his collar. Status report. Their ships are charging weapons, his sensor officer replied. Much stronger than the border stations. They're also trying to hack our computers. He paused and grinned. The AI is having fun with that. The Thunderchild's artificial intelligence had been built to deal with cyber attacks in creative ways. Right now, it was feeding the alien hackers fake information about Earth's technology, making them think they were succeeding while learning about their methods. On the Council's command ship, Fleet Master Bourne slammed his metallic fist against his chair. What do you mean you can't get proper readings? This is primitive technology. His technical crew worked frantically at their stations. Every scan they ran on the Thunderchild showed something different. Sometimes it looked like a basic metal hull with simple engines. Other times their sensors showed energy readings that went off their scales. It was like trying to catch smoke with bare hands. Sir, one of his officers called out, the human vessel is moving. The Thunderchild turned slowly, presenting its broadside to the alien fleet. It was a classic naval maneuver from Earth's ocean-going days, but it had a new purpose in space combat. The move exposed a line of what looked like simple gun ports along the ship's hull. Last chance for peaceful contact. Green broadcast on all frequencies. We're happy to talk, but we won't be taken prisoner. Fleet Master Bourne laughed at the message. They think they can fight 12 of our best ships. Fire the containment nets. The alien fleet launched their most advanced capture technology. Energy nets designed to trap and disable any ship. The nets sparkled with beautiful patterns as they flew through space toward the Thunderchild. Green nodded to his weapons officer. Show them what point defense really means. Small ports opened along the Thunderchild's hull. Tiny balls of light shot out in rapid succession, each one meeting the section of the energy nets. Where they touched, the nets simply disappeared, converted into harmless radiation by human countermeasure technology. The alien fleet fell silent. Nothing in their experience had prepared them for weapons that could simply erase their containment technology. Impossible, Bourne shouted. All ships, full attack pattern. Use everything we have. The Council warships opened fire with their main weapons. Beams of energy and exotic particles streaked across space toward the Thunderchild. Green watched them come with professional interest. Shields at full power, he ordered. Start the absorption sequence. What happened next would be talked about in the Council for years to come. As each weapon struck the Thunderchild's shields, the energy didn't explode or dissipate like normal. Instead, it seemed to flow across the shield surface like water, gathering at specific points along the hull. Sir, the Thunderchild's engineering officer reported, power collection at 80%. The new storage systems are working perfectly. Green allowed himself a small nod of satisfaction. Send them a demonstration. Low power, target the space between their ships. The energy the Thunderchild had absorbed from the alien attacks was redirected through its systems. A single beam shot out from one of the ship's ports, passing harmlessly between two Council vessels. The beam was precisely controlled, showing a level of power management the aliens had never seen. In the Council fleet, alarms screamed as sensors registered the power of that single shot. It had contained more energy than their entire fleet could generate at once. Hold your fire, Bourne ordered, his metallic skin pale with shock. All ships, hold your fire. He stared at his tactical display. finally understanding what they faced. The human ship hadn't just defended itself, it had turned their own power against them, showing a mastery of energy that went beyond anything in Council technology. Green's voice came over the communication channels again, still calm and friendly. "Now then, shall we try talking instead? We have some interesting ideas about energy management we'd be happy to share." The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Thousands of alien representatives filled the spiral-shaped room, their voices mixing into a storm of worried whispers. The massive central platform held the Council's 5 senior members, their forms barely visible through the shimmering force field that protected them. The main doors opened with a soft hiss. Representative Smith walked in, his plain black suit standing out among the colorful robes and ceremonial armor of the alien diplomats. He carried a simple briefcase and walked with the confident steps of someone who knew exactly where he was going. "So this is a human," whispered one of the council members, "a being made of pure light contained within a crystal shell. They look so ordinary." The head speaker, an ancient alien with gray skin and long fingers, raised his hand for silence. The chamber grew quiet as Smith reached the speaking platform. "Representative of Earth," the speaker's voice echoed through the chamber, "you stand before us to address the incident at Border Post 17. Your vessel not only violated our space, but demonstrated weapons capable of negating our most advanced technology. Explain yourself." Smith placed his briefcase on the podium and smiled. It was a gentle expression that somehow made several alien representatives feel uncomfortable. "First," he said, his voice clear and steady, "let me correct a misunderstanding. The Thunderchild carried no weapons when it entered your space. What your fleet encountered was purely defensive technology." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The head speaker's fingers twitched with irritation. "We saw the energy beam your ship fired. Do not take us for fools." "That beam," Smith replied, "was your own weapon energy, redirected with precision. We merely returned what was given to us. The Thunderchild is primarily a research vessel designed to test our new defensive systems." He opened his briefcase and removed a small device. When he placed it on the podium, it projected a hologram showing the Thunderchild's shield system in action. Humanity learned long ago that the best defense isn't always a stronger shield or a bigger weapon. Sometimes it's finding a way to turn an attack into an advantage. Every system on our ships has at least 3 backup purposes. Nothing is wasted. The light being leaned forward. "You speak of learning from conflict. Your species is young. How could you have developed such technology in so little time?" Smith's smile faded slightly. "We developed it because we had to. Humanity's history is filled with wars, conflicts, and challenges. Each time we faced destruction, we found a way to survive. Each time we nearly destroyed ourselves, we learned and grew stronger." He touched the device again, and the hologram changed to show Earth's history. Images of ancient battles flowed into modern warfare, then into space technology. While your civilizations grew through peaceful expansion, we grew through adversity. Every piece of technology on the Thunderchild comes from lessons written in blood and sacrifice. We don't carry weapons because we want war. We carry them because we know the price of being unprepared. The chamber fell silent as the images faded. The head speaker's expression had changed from irritation to something closer to understanding. "And yet," Smith continued, "we come in peace. The Thunderchild's mission wasn't to demonstrate our strength, but to open diplomatic relations. We believe we have much to offer the Galactic Council and much to learn from you." He reached into his briefcase one last time and removed a data crystal. "This contains the basic principles of our shield technology. Not the full details. Those will come with time and trust, but enough to show our good faith. We offer it freely, asking only for the opportunity to join your community of worlds." The light being spoke again, its voice filled with curiosity. "Why would you share such valuable technology?" "Because humanity has learned another lesson," Smith replied. "The strongest walls aren't built to keep others out. They're built to protect what we value. And right now, what we value most is the chance for peaceful cooperation. The head speaker studied the human for a long moment, his ancient eyes seeing more than just the simple suit and friendly smile. Here was something new in the galaxy, a species that had found strength in its scars, wisdom in its failures, and hope in its darkest moments. Perhaps, the speaker said slowly, we have something to learn from Earth after all. The emergency alarms shattered the peace of the council chamber. Red lights flashed across the curved walls as panic spread through the gathered representatives. The head speaker rose from his seat, his gray skin turning pale as he read the incoming reports. Dark swarm vessels detected. The announcement echoed through the chamber. Multiple contact points. They've bypassed our early warning systems. Representative Smith watched the chaos with calm eyes. He touched his wrist communicator, sending a quick signal to the Thunderchild. Commander Green's voice responded immediately, clear and steady despite the situation. We're tracking them, sir, Green reported. Count shows 50 Dark Swarm ships, using some kind of stealth technology. They're moving fast. The Council's tactical display showed the attack unfolding. Black ships emerged from the darkness of space, their hulls seeming to drink in light itself. The Council's defense fleet scrambled to respond, but the Dark Swarm had chosen their moment well. Most of the fleet was out of position, spread thin across Council space. This is why we never leave home without our defenses, Smith muttered, then raised his voice to address the head speaker. Allow us to help. The ancient alien turned all four eyes toward the human. Your single ship against 50 Dark Swarm vessels. That would be suicide. Smith allowed himself a small smile. Who said anything about a single ship? He pressed his communicator again. Commander Green, initiate Protocol Sunrise. On board the Thunderchild, Green gave the order. Hidden transmitters came to life, sending coded signals into deep space. The ship's AI began running combat simulations, preparing for what was about to happen. The Council's sensor operators stared at their screens in confusion. Space itself seemed to ripple as dozens of ships appeared from nowhere. They simply materialized, as if they had been there all along, just waiting for the right moment. Stealth fleet dropping cloaks, Green announced. All ships reporting ready for combat. 20 Earth vessels now surrounded the Council station, each one similar to the Thunderchild, but with subtle differences. They moved into formation with practiced ease, their crews ready and waiting. The head speaker's mouth fell open. You had a battle fleet hidden here the entire time. Of course, Smith replied. The Thunderchild was never alone. We don't just plan for success. We plan for every possible failure. Now shall we deal with your Dark Swarm problem? The black ships of the Dark Swarm reached weapon range. They opened fire with beams of pure darkness, weapons that consumed energy itself. The Council's defensive shields buckled under the assault. But the human ships were ready. They moved like dancers in a deadly ballet, their formation spreading out to surround the attacking fleet. Each Earth vessel activated its shield technology, but with a new twist. They linked their systems together, creating a web of energy absorption fields. The Dark Swarm's weapons struck the human shields and found their energy simply disappeared. But this time, instead of storing the power, the Earth ships channeled it between themselves, creating a network of energy that trapped the black ships in their own attack. A cage of their own power, Green explained over the open channels. Sometimes the best trap is the one your enemy builds for themselves. The Dark Swarm ships tried to retreat, but found themselves caught. Their own energy weapons had created a maze they couldn't escape. Earth's ships began to close the net, their linked shields growing stronger with each desperate shot from the trapped vessels. In the Council chamber, the tactical display told the story. The dreaded Dark Swarm, terror of countless civilizations, found themselves outmaneuvered by human ingenuity. Their supposedly unstoppable weapons had become their prison. Now watch closely, Smith said to the stunned council members. This is why we believe in backup plans for our backup plans. The Earth ships executed their final move. All 20 vessels fired at once, not with weapons, but with precisely calibrated energy pulses. The combined effect created a resonance wave that shattered the Dark Swarm ships' stealth fields, leaving them visible and vulnerable to the arriving Council fleet. "Your ships can finish them off now," Smith announced. "Their special defenses are gone. Sometimes the best way to win a fight is to help others do what they do best." The head speaker stood silent for a long moment, watching as his fleet moved in to clean up what remained of the Dark Swarm attack. Finally, he turned to Smith with new respect in his ancient eyes. "Perhaps," he said softly, "we should discuss upgrading that membership application of yours to something more substantial." The space around the Council station lit up with new energy signatures. This time, it wasn't the Dark Swarm. It was Earth's main response fleet arriving through their unique faster-than-light system. The ships emerged in perfect formation, their arrival creating ripples of blue light that danced across the stars. Admiral Jones stood on the bridge of the flagship Guardian, watching as his fleet of 40 ships joined the 20 that had been hidden with the Thunderchild. His white hair and lined face showed his age, but his eyes sparkled with the energy of a much younger man. "Status report," he called out, his voice carrying the calm authority of decades of command. "All ships reporting ready, sir," his fleet coordinator answered. "The Thunderchild's group has the Dark Swarm contained, but our long-range sensors show more enemy ships incoming. Much more." The tactical display told the story. Over 200 Dark Swarm vessels were burning their way toward the Council station. This wasn't just a raid. It was an invasion force. In the Council chamber, the alien leaders watched with a mixture of fear and fascination as the human fleet organized itself. Representative Smith stood with them, explaining what they were seeing. "Each ship in our fleet has its own specialty," he said, pointing to different vessel types. "But they're all built to adapt and support each other. Watch how they move." The Earth ships began to shift positions. Smaller vessels paired with larger ones. Some ships linked their energy systems together, while others spread out in coverage patterns that seemed to make no sense, until you saw how they overlapped. "Your ships move like they're dancing," the head speaker observed. Smith nodded. "We call it dynamic formation combat. Every ship can change its role based on what's needed. No fixed positions, no predictable patterns." The Dark Swarm fleet arrived in a massive wave of darkness. Their weapons opened up, filling space with beams of energy-drinking darkness. But this time, they found something they never encountered before. Earth's fleet split into smaller groups, each one moving in its own pattern. When the Dark Swarm targeted one group, the ships would switch positions and roles instantly. Vessels that had been absorbing energy would suddenly become attackers, while attackers would transform into shields. "Look at their weapon systems," one of the Council technicians called out in surprise. "They're changing." It was true. The human ships were adapting their weapons on the fly, analyzing each Dark Swarm ship's defenses and modifying their attacks to match. When one approach didn't work, they tried another, learning and adjusting with each exchange. Admiral Jones watched the battle unfold with professional interest. "Signal the Hammer Group," he ordered. "Begin the sonic pulse sequence." 5 Earth ships moved into a pentagon formation. They activated special transmitters that sent waves of energy through space itself. The pulses weren't weapons. They were communication. The ships were talking to each other through the fabric of space, coordinating their movements and attacks with perfect precision. The Dark Swarm found their carefully planned attack falling apart. Every time they adapted to one human tactic, the Earth fleet would switch to something completely different. It was like fighting an enemy that could read their minds and change its very nature from moment to moment. "Their ships," the head speaker said in awe. "They're not just fighting, they're learning." Smith smiled. "Every human vessel carries an AI that can analyze enemy patterns and share that information with the fleet. But more importantly, we have human crews who know how to take that data and use it creatively. The best of both worlds. Machine analysis, and human intuition. The battle reached its turning point when the Earth fleet executed what they called a starburst maneuver. All 60 ships moved outward in perfect synchronization, creating a sphere of overlapping fields and weapons. The Dark Swarm fleet found itself caught in a web of constantly shifting energy, unable to predict where the next attack would come from. "Signal to all ships," Admiral Jones commanded. "Execute final phase. Show them what Earth's fleet can really do." The human vessels began to glow with collected energy. They had been absorbing and storing power from the Dark Swarm attacks, and now they prepared to use it. But not as simple weapons. Each ship added its own unique modification to the energy, creating a symphony of different effects that overwhelmed the Dark Swarm's defenses. In the council chamber, the alien leaders watched in stunned silence as the massive Dark Swarm fleet began to break apart under the combined assault. Not just defeated, completely outmaneuvered by a force less than half its size. 2 weeks after the battle, the Council's main engineering bay buzzed with activity. Alien technicians gathered around Dr. Wilson as she stood next to a partially disassembled shield generator from the Thunderchild. Her gray work uniform was stained with grease, and her toolkit lay open beside her. "The secret isn't in making something completely new," she explained, pointing to the simple-looking device. "It's about taking what works and making it work better. Every piece of this system has at least 3 backup functions." The alien engineers leaned in closer, their various sensory organs focused on the human technology. One of them, a being with multiple tentacle-like arms, reached out to touch the generator's outer casing. "But this is just basic metal," he said, confusion clear in his voice. "Our scans showed your shields were far more advanced than this." Wilson smiled and pulled out a small magnetic tool. She touched it to the casing, and suddenly, the metal surface came alive with tiny patterns of light. The alien stepped back in surprise. "The metal is just the foundation," she said. "We learned a long time ago that the best way to protect something isn't to make it obvious. Look here." She pointed to what seemed like simple rivets holding the casing together. "Each of these contains a microcomputer. They talk to each other, adjusting the shield's frequency thousands of times per second." In another part of the engineering bay, Commander Green worked with a team of Council weapons specialists. They had asked to examine the Thunderchild's weapon systems, but found something unexpected. "That's the point you're missing," Green explained, showing them an empty weapon port. "We don't carry dedicated weapons. Every system on our ships can become a weapon if needed, but that's not their primary purpose." He pressed a button, and the port transformed. What had looked like a weapon barrel reformed itself into a communications array. Another press, and it became an energy collector. "Humans learned through centuries of warfare that single-purpose tools are a weakness," he continued. "Everything we build has to be able to adapt, to serve multiple functions. It's not about having the biggest gun. It's about having tools that can become whatever you need, whenever you need them." The Council's chief engineer, a being made of living crystal, studied the human designs with growing understanding. "Your technology. It's not primitive at all. It's evolved along a completely different path than ours." Wilson nodded as she reassembled the shield generator. "Your civilizations developed technology through peaceful exploration. You looked for the most elegant solutions, the most advanced materials. We developed ours through survival." She pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's history of technological development. "Every major breakthrough we made came from necessity. When we couldn't match our enemy's strength, we learned to turn their power against them. When we couldn't build perfect systems, we built redundant ones that could fail safely and keep working." The tentacled engineer waved one of his limbs at the display. "But surely there were easier ways, more advanced solutions." "Advanced doesn't always mean better," Green replied. "We found that out the hard way. Simple systems are easier to fix, easier to modify, easier to improve. Our ships might look basic to your scanners, but that's because every piece of technology we have is built on layers of hard-learned lessons." Wilson picked up a small power cell, barely larger than her palm. Take this, for example. It looks like a simple battery, right? But inside, it has 3 different power generation systems. If one fails, the others take over. If it takes damage, it can reconfigure itself to keep working. And if it can't power the main systems, it figures out what smaller systems it can still run. The crystal engineer's surface flickered with patterns of realization. Your entire approach to technology. It's about survival. About never giving up, even when systems are damaged or failing. Exactly, Wilson said with a smile. We don't build things to be perfect. We build them to keep working no matter what happens. Because in our history, the ability to adapt and survive was always more important than having the most advanced technology. She turned to the assembled alien engineers, her expression serious but friendly. Now, who wants to learn how to build systems that learn from failure instead of trying to avoid it? Because that's the real secret of human technology. We don't just plan for success. We plan for every possible way things could go wrong. And we make sure our technology can handle it. 1 month after the Dark Swarm battle, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council looked very different. Earth's engineers had helped install new defensive systems, and human-designed screens now protected the gathered representatives. But the biggest change wasn't in the technology. It was in the attitudes of the council members themselves. The head speaker stood at the central podium, his ancient eyes surveying the chamber. Representatives from 100 different species filled the seats, and for the first time in council history, a human delegation sat in the front row. Admiral Jones, Commander Green, Dr. Wilson, and Representative Smith watched calmly as the speaker raised his hands for silence. 3 cycles ago, the speaker began, his voice carrying through the chamber. We thought we had encountered a primitive species that had somehow stumbled into advanced weapons technology. Today, we understand how wrong we were. He gestured to a holographic display showing the Thunderchild. This vessel, which we once saw as a threat, has become a symbol of something we had forgotten. Progress doesn't always mean making things more complex. Sometimes, the greatest advances come from learning to use simple things in clever ways. The display changed to show recordings from the battle with the Dark Swarm. The Earth Fleet's adaptive tactics played out in front of the gathered representatives, drawing murmurs of appreciation. Humanity, the speaker continued, has taught us that true strength doesn't come from having the most advanced technology. It comes from understanding how to use what you have, how to adapt when things go wrong, and how to turn apparent weaknesses into strengths. Admiral Jones stood up, walking to join the speaker at the podium. His uniform was simple compared to the elaborate robes of the alien representatives, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. We didn't come here looking to change how the council does things, Jones said, his voice steady and clear. We came looking for allies, for friends. What we found was a community of worlds that had grown so used to peace that they'd forgotten how to handle threats like the Dark Swarm. He smiled warmly at the assembled aliens. But you haven't forgotten how to learn. In the past month, we've seen your engineers take our ideas about adaptive technology and improve them in ways we never imagined. You've shown us that the best partnerships are ones where both sides have something to teach. Dr. Wilson stepped forward next, holding up a small device. This is what we've created together, a shield generator that combines council materials science with Earth's redundant systems approach. It's better than anything either of us could have made alone. The device activated, creating a shield bubble that shimmered with both human and alien technology working in perfect harmony. The gathered representatives watched in appreciation as the shield adapted and changed, showing off its new capabilities. Commander Green joined them, adding his own observations. A month ago, we were worried about showing you our weapons. Now we understand that what you needed wasn't our weapons at all. It was our way of thinking about problems, our habit of finding solutions in unexpected places. The head speaker nodded in agreement. And that is why today, we're not just accepting Earth as a member of the Council. We're creating a new position. Earth will lead a joint defense initiative, teaching our worlds how to protect themselves while learning from our 1,000 years of peaceful development. Representative Smith was the last to join them at the podium. The Thunder Child was never meant to be a warship, he said, looking out at the gathered species. It was meant to be a bridge, a way to show you that humanity had learned from its violent past and was ready to join a peaceful galaxy. But it turned out we had something more important to offer: the knowledge that peace is stronger when you're prepared for trouble. The speaker raised his hands again, and the chamber's lights dimmed. A new hologram appeared, showing Earth ships and council vessels training together, sharing technology, and working as one fleet. Today marks the beginning of a new era, the speaker announced. One where the wisdom of peace meets the strength of preparedness. One where humanity's practical innovation combines with our advanced science. Together, we will be stronger than either of us could be alone. As the chamber erupted in applause, the Thunder Child hung in orbit above, its simple hull hiding layers of both human and alien technology. It had started as a test vessel, become a defender, and now served as a symbol of something new in the galaxy. A future where the best of both worlds work together, ready for whatever challenges the universe might bring.